Yo, this hot, this the spot, there it is pod.com. We're interviewing the best comedians, so tune in quick and get your ears receiving them. We talking about life and laughter, stream right to you, from the microphone right to your home, dude. Side note, this might get embarrassing, but no, don't sweat, yo, cause there it is.
Welcome to the There It Is podcast, a comedy podcast for creators of any variety. I'm your host, Jason Farr. Let's do this. And I'm joined on this very special Christmas episode by the one and only girlfriend.
Santa Claus!
Yes, girlfriend of the show,
yes.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
You crazy. Everybody, welcome Justina.
Hey guys, Merry Christmas. It's me, it's Justina. I'm the girlfriend of the show, and I'm so happy to be here, literally.
You're gonna hate the way you sound.
Oh no, really? Does that mean you hate the way I sound?
No, but you're doing the voice that you, when you hear it, you always say, I don't like that.
It's called character acting.
I'm just telling you.
All right.
I am just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, yeah, just a Christmas episode, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to just chat about various topics and, just a special on Christmas Day episode. Mm-hmm. I doubt too many people are going to listen to it on Christmas Day.
Right.
But there's always like 30 minutes where you're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you wish you had something to do, and now you have a podcast to listen to. You know, presents have been opened, food has been eaten, the bulk of Christmas is over for you. And you're just like, well, it's just time to get away from my family and drink. What am I going to do? Well,
I like to sit alone and drink and listen to podcasts.
Yeah. Well, I try to give people that option.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like. But we are going to talk about some comedy topics and some us-specific comedy topics. But there is a top news item from the last couple of weeks that has, it's not rocked the comedy community, but it is a big topic. And it's that UCB has decided that they're going to eliminate some certain roles with the company because of what has been described by the New York Times as financial struggles. And so they announced layoffs, and these layoffs will affect what I understand it to be digital and sales as well.
Yeah, and have affected. I think these already took place.
Yes, they announced it. Let's see, it looks like the 9th of December, something like that. So it's recent news, and I only bring it up just because iOS closed within the last year and or year and a half, and I don't think UCB's about to close, but if they're having financial struggles and saying we've got to take a step back, it's just something that scares me because I would hate it. I feel like the way I talk about UCB sometimes, especially recently, is maybe giving people the impression that I don't like UCB, and that's not how I feel at all. I love UCB. There's so many people who've come through there who are my favorites in comedy, or so among my favorites in comedy. And we've seen a lot of shows there. We have friends who are there, friends who have gone through the curriculum there, the school there. So I really respect and appreciate what has come out of UCB and what they're doing on stage. And I think it would be a massive blow if they had to close.
Yeah.
And I don't want that because I think they need to be out there.
I think it's interesting. To me, it drives home the point that I know that people disagree with me on, but kind of that you can't make improv a full-time business. And I mean, they still do, and there are the other theaters in town and across the world that do make it a full-time business, and that's fine. I don't know, it's just improv, it's that one thing you don't get paid for, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard to make a business out of it. And
Yeah.
they've been very successful in many ways. And I think you can only ride that train for so long.
Right. I mean,
That kind of success in improv, I mean. But and even with these layoffs, they're still hugely successful and one of the most recognizable names.
right. Oh, sure. And I think one of the things that's hopefully the case is that they just caught this early and that they will be fine. But because sometimes you can easily do too much. You think about the model, television or, radio in its early heyday, they were doing the same thing that UCB or any improv theater is doing, which is putting talent on stage or on camera or on mic. And the way you make money is with sales, so if you
Right.
with marketing other people's stuff basically, and they give you money to do that, but it's hard to do that with improv
Yeah, I've never actually seen it happen. The only thing they're marketing that I've seen is other people's shows.
of their own thing. Yeah, exactly. So that's the main flaw, so to speak, for lack of a better term, with running an improv theater is that you can't, like radio
Even
or like
community
television.
theater, they hand out a little pamphlet that has like all these local busineses in it
Right.
that paid to be in that pamphlet. So
Which I don't see at any improv theater.
yeah,
I mean,
it's tricky, and people think like that keeps it pure. I think like there's no advertising in it.
It keeps the lights on too.
Yeah.
I
mean, I work in advertising, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. And and I do understand that one thing that radio and an element that radio and television don't have is that they don't have classes and they're not selling booze. But it's if you have outside people giving you money and you don't have to do anything but mention them, then it's I don't know. There's a ton of money in that. And podcasting is doing it in a huge way now.
I think you and I should open an improv theater. Seriously, no, I'm serious. Like one day, and have a school and all that good stuff.
But then,
don't actually teach classes. Like just advertise stuff in the classes. Like it's just like one big long commercial, acted out, and the shows it's just like a pamphlet. And then you sit and watch commercials acted out. But I think that's what we should do.
That would be interesting. Teach people how to act out commercials. And then that's what the school is. And then we just...
and they have to pay, but we're also getting sponsored, of course, by the,
Of course.
They
pay for the class, but then like craft singles is also paying us.
Yeah.
And then the class show is just one long commercial.
Yes. Yeah.
It's foolproof. It's so that's all the thing about UCB. I think it's I don't know. I have hope that it's gonna be fine, and I don't know. I feel like it is gonna be fine.
They'll be fine. Too many people love them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, here's the second topic that I wanted to go over. Good ways to get friends to come to shows. Now, listen, if we're going to do this theater in the future, and it's just going to be a bunch of commercials.
Right, how are we going to get
How do
people
we
to come out?
get people?
Well,
No, but for real, how do you get people to come to shows?
When I was, I thought about this a lot. Like, basically, when we were students here in New York, I never invited anyone ever to our student showcases. And you always did. And I was like, well, that's really nice of you.
You knew I was going to, and so you didn't have to.
No, really. It's not. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to want these people to come out. I don't want them to burn out on my student showcases. Like, I want them to come when I'm on a main stage show or when I have a show like that they might have to pay for, and I wanted to like guarantee, like close to guarantee that it's going to be a great show. Not because of me, but just because it's like a real show, on a main stage theater in New York, Well, main stage, just like the Magnet or the Pit or whatever, you know what I mean? And
I have noticed a drop off between those class shows and I'm on the stage show now.
Yeah.
and I'm not getting people to come out to that. I invite people.
You do invite? Okay, I was gonna ask. Like
maybe it's a little different because now it's every week. And so I can't invite them every week. I'm not going to do that. And, so I don't know that I've invited people more than I did but I certainly haven't invited them less than I did when we were in classes.
I don't know, because, like, every class show you would invite someone, right? Do you invite someone every week? Mm-mm. So it's not as much as when you did.
That's what I'm
classes,
saying. It's not... Well, no. If it was a class show, it was once every 2 months I was inviting people.
But it was every show.
Correct, but I just mean in a 2-month period, I probably still invite people once.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that it has to do now with the fact that people know that you perform every week and they're like, oh, I'll catch them.
That is a thing to fight
But when
against,
you had your first Mega Watch show, it was like the Jason Farr reunion. Like, there was a college friend, your family was there.
Yeah,
I was there, your childhood friend was there.
Yeah, that's true.
It was, that was awesome. Yeah.
The college friend was totally random.
But, like, he came
no, that was
out. Like,
awesome. That was Matt Saunders. I will say Matt Saunders, an old brother from college. Very nice of him to come out.
You had a brother in college?
Fraternity brothers.
Oh, yeah.
So I very much appreciate his coming out. But yeah, no, I just realized some of it too is, everyone says when you move to a city is Seth Meyers told us, get to a theater, you're going to need people around. Is build some friends in the community. So now that we have done that over all this time in the classes, all those other people now that we would invite are just other people in the community who have their own shows. And if you notice, those are the people who are less likely to come out.
Right.
Because they're busy.
I mean, like, they're busy. Also, I feel like there's two types of people that I see at the magnet shows. The people who go to every single magnet show ever. Woo. And then the people who, like, just drift in and out. Like, they're there for their shows. But peace out.
And that's true at every single theater.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying my only experience is really with the magnet, so.
Oh, yeah, you were in 2 other theaters. Oh, in New York, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. But I just mean, I wasn't negating you. I was just meaning, it's so...
Why are you fighting with me right now?
Justina. Let's bring Santa back. But yeah, so now I'm wondering, like, I shouldn't keep just inviting other improvisers and other performers to shows because they are busy. They can't. I want to go to shows and I can't go to them all. I get invited to all these shows and I'm like, interested, like on Facebook.
Yeah.
I click interested because in theory I am. I just have no idea if I can commit.
As far as like being an improviser, going to other improvisers shows, like, oh my gosh, you got to do other stuff besides improv if you're going to be any good at improv.
Or just live an interesting life.
Yeah.
Like, it's as interesting as it is to perform
and see shows
in New York.
Yeah.
And it definitely is, but you're gonna have to live another life outside of the theater. That's why going back to,
and if you're on 2 teams, that means 4 nights a week are dedicated to comedy already. So it's hard because like 2 shows, 2 practices, assuming there's a show every week.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, we know people who are on multiple teams. 2, like if you think about it. Like our friend Robin, this is like her 5th time being mentioned on the podcast, much to another friend of ours, chagrin, and that person will not be named because that's what they desperately want. This is one person this is going to track with, and I'm glad. But what I was going to say was our friend Robin is on 2 teams. One is a sketch team, and the other is a improv team. They're both house teams. So the sketch team, I guess, is once a month, but it's
the performance is once a month. Yeah,
right. But the rehearsals are every week, and then there are rehearsals every week for her megawatt team, and then also a show every week. So that's at least 3 nights a week, and then if it's show week for sketch, and maybe it's 4 nights. Like that's a bunch. That's a bunch. And then we know people who are also on 4 teams. Like, can you imagine?
No thanks.
I can't.
I don't want to do any one thing that much.
We know someone who'd had 3 house teams that performed weekly, and then a 4th team that they were on that did not perform weekly. And that's insane. The amount of the amount of time.
Yeah, but you get really good at what you're doing, I
Oh,
guess,
yeah.
because you're doing it so much.
It's definitely not something I would say no to, because there were times in Greenville where it was like, this is nuts. I'm going to be doing comedy 6 nights a week. But hey, that's also pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be good for me in the long run. And it was, and I loved it. And I look back on those days fondly. Well, let's move on. Oh no, but what? Just to wrap this up, how to invite friends to shows? I was wondering, instead of just doing the Facebook invites.
Yeah, I feel like the Facebook invite is like you might as well not invite
dead.
them.
It's just dead.
I would say a text message, as long as you don't get too clingy about it.
Right.
And I would say, like, if it's a person you see, like, say it to their face,
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, I just want you to know that this is happening. It'd be great if you could come.
Mm-hmm.
I understand if you're busy, but I
And
just
if
wanted to
you're-
tell you about it,
Yeah, and if you're worried about blowing up somebody's phone with just saying like, "Hey, come to my show," because that can be bad. This is what I would do, because I'm a nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, who are all the people? I would identify all the people that I could invite, that I would invite
Yeah.
fairly regularly. I just put them on a spreadsheet and be like, did I invite? Like, when was? Check it off for the week or month.
Wow, that's involved, baby.
It is involved, but I wouldn't want to like text. For one, I wouldn't want to text 25 people a week.
Also, yeah.
And then also, like, I don't want to text the same. I don't want to text any one person for every single show.
Yeah.
So I'd want to spread it out. So then it's like, okay, I haven't sent a text to this person in a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it won't be too much for me to message them now. But that's a lot to take.
Speaking of
that's
text
work.
messages, really super fast before we move on to the next topic. Like, if I'm in a group text and it's like 8+, come to my show, I'm just like, I'm ignoring this. Like, you are just like trying to
group
get
text.
bodies. You don't care if I'm there or
At
not. You're
least
trying
just
to get...
copy and paste.
Yeah. Well, and then also I was going to say, like, if I do get an individual text, but it looks like it was copied and pasted, like, hey friend, hope your summer's going great. I have this show. I'm just like, yeah, this was a copy paste.
Yeah.
So like, if you are gonna text, make it sound like you wrote that text to me.
Oh, for
'Cause
sure.
Otherwise, I'll feel kind of like.
Even when I do
And that's
copy
happened to me
paste.
before. That's happened to me. I feel like I got a text message and I was like, oh wow, they want me to come to their show. They want me to come to their show, and I show up and I'm like, they don't even talk to me after the show. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, gross.
Yeah, even when I copy and paste, I end up rewriting stuff.
Yeah.
Just to make it personal to them.
Yeah.
And then it's to the point where it's like, I should have just written a new text. The other thing I was thinking, and this is another thing that's involved in, but less insane than the spreadsheet idea, is to do something fun on social media instead of just the basic post on Facebook or the invite on Facebook, to actually do like a fun Instagram live where it's like content that you're creating. So you're writing a funny bit, you're coming up with a funny bit. That's good for you to do. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, this is basically an idea that I had early days of No Expectations comedy back home with, I was talking to Charlie Gray, a good friend of ours up here who moved up here from South Carolina, and was one of the co-founders of No Expectations. And for people who don't know, that's an open mic that I helped run with Charlie Gray and 3 other people. And one of those other people, Michael Robinette, was also in on this conversation. And I was saying it would be kind of fun if we did, with whoever is going to host, and then one of us who produce it, a little like 15-second video of, hey, I'm the host next week of the open mic, come on out. And then like we do a little banter sort of thing, exactly like what SNL promos are. It's 15 seconds long, and it's just like a quick like, hey, I'm hosting, come out, silly joke. And you can do that every week with your Instagram live or something, to say like, hey, I've got a show this Wednesday at such and such, silly joke.
Yeah.
And that would, I think, not annoy people. I think it would get their attention, and you would get information out. I think that can also generate interest in you.
Right.
I think that would be all around the best idea. Take work, but I mean, if you move to New York to do comedy, you're gonna have to do some work. You have to work a little harder. So here's the next topic. It's just an end of the year roundup, so to speak. I don't want to go over each episode of the last year, but I figure we could go over episode, like just moments from 2018 that we thought were kind of fun, were nice. Again, it doesn't have to be every episode, but just like any sort of thing that jumped out at you. I had a few college friends on, and I can't believe the people we had on this year. For one, there's some people I'm like, that was this year? I thought it was last year. But it was really great to have like my college friends, Paul McNair and Jim Hendricks on, and that was early in the year. And then I had Sully Begg from the Magnet Theater, who's on one of my favorite teams there. And the thing that jumps out at me about having Sully on is that was a time I didn't know him as well. Almost a year ago, we were pretty early in our time here, and so we hadn't really gotten to know a whole lot of people very well. And this was when I was like, oh my gosh, Sully's so cool. I felt like an upperclassman. I've said this before. And it's now I still think he's cool, but now I feel more like I'm on par. Not talent-wise, but just...
You don't have to downplay yourself to say something nice about somebody else.
Oh, that's true. I'm just trying to explain it. But thank you. I'm not trying to downplay myself. I do appreciate you pointing that out. But all I mean is... I don't feel like I'm on the JV team like I did in January when I had him on. I feel like I'm on varsity with him. And and that's cool to like experience, like look back over this and be like, oh wow. Keisha Zoller, that was an episode I really appreciated because I just really liked her insight. And the thing that I've said this before in the podcast, one of the things I really took from that was her saying, respect my humanity, and I've been using that ever since she said it. It's like, just respect my humanity. But just to go over a couple of big ones for me: Lindsay Catt, Charlie Nicholson, Nick Kanellis, and so many good ones. And I will also say Peter. But Joe, as everyone knows, how thrilled I was to have her on. Those are high points, and the meditation episode was a high point. And then, like, the people who came here, like Dan Wilbur or, like, Davey Gardner, our good buddy Davey, those were all, like, really special for me. But I do have to say, like, earlier in the year, like, just seeing that change in me is maybe the high point.
Yeah. Sweet.
What about you? Do you have any particular moments?
I was just going to say Jessica's, because I felt like she gave real life advice that I could use, across anything. You know, a lot of the people you have on are comedy related, and this is a comedy podcast, so that makes sense. But I liked hers because I can apply meditation and mindfulness to everything, not just comedy. And yeah, baby, I like them all.
And the one with Amy Silverman is also like that as well, which I know you haven't had a chance to listen to yet.
Yeah.
But that was another one like that, and I really enjoyed that chat. I'm really excited about the ones coming up in the new year as well. Stay tuned. All right, next topic. See how quickly we went through that? I didn't want to go through episode by episode. So, favorite gifts of the year. So this is like, people saying what I'm thankful for at Thanksgiving.
You mean like a gift, like a GIF?
No.
Oh, okay, because I was like, I have some, but you mean like a gift.
Right.
Okay.
I said it like a Southerner. Gifts. But gifts. Kifatis is the old pronunciation. That's the old
Old English.
Yeah, but even goes further back than that. Back in the biblical
Sumerian,
times.
yeah.
Whoa.
I almost spilled my wine.
Yes, and there is wine. No, so gifts, and I guess maybe that's this being such a like podcast heavy. I mean, improv heavy podcast, talking about gifts and improv. They gave you a gift, accept the gift. So I'm thinking like, what are the gifts, the comedy related gifts, of the year? And I mean, there's the obvious like Magnet and all the stuff that we've gained through that. But let's see. I'm trying to think of something that's not so cliche as to say like Magnet.
Do you mean like Adam Sandler's special, which was so nice to watch?
You know what? That would be fine. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, and for me, that was just I grew up on Adam Sandler, so I have a very a soft spot in my heart for him. But you know, I didn't know what to expect of that. And it was surprisingly sincere and very enjoyable.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah, that was something I would say as a comedy gift. What was something that you experienced this year that you would, looking back, you can say, wow, that was special and that was a nice gift to have received? Comedy related.
Well, Boif happened this year.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that it all happened this year.
I can't believe it. It feels like it's been years.
Yeah. But like our first ever show felt so nice. Mm-hmm. And just all the shows we've had since then and bonding with all of them.
Yeah. For people who don't know, Boif is the indie team, that improv indie team. And for those who don't know what that means, because there are people who listen to this who don't know, an indie team means that it's independent of any theater, just in the sense that it's not what is considered a house team. A house team is a team that the theater puts on specifically. They cast that team. But an indie team, they made themselves. And we all met at Magnet, so that's our connection to Magnet. But we are we all fell in love with each other. And I can't believe it's been not even a full year.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that was one of my comedy gifts, and then also doing TPW was a comedy gift.
Oh yeah,
doing that for so long.
Yeah, and also, TPW, for those who don't know, it's the last level we took at Magnet, and it's like 2 months of shows at the theater. Big gift.
Team performance workshop.
Yeah.
And then I also had the gift of like experiencing like a team that I didn't enjoy being a part of, and it made me think like, you can say no. You can just say no. Because just because I like comedy doesn't mean I have to do every little thing, especially if it's not enjoyable, because that defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, that's a good gift. That's a good learning to say no to things is a pretty necessary tool in your tool belt. To, you know, like a lot of people say they over agree to things and then they spread themselves thin and then they can't get it all done, or they do, but it's at their own personal detriment. And sometimes you just have to say no, and it doesn't mean you don't care about the person or care about what you're trying to do. It just means there's no time for you to do it.
What were your comedy gifts?
Well, Boif definitely won. I mean, and I said Magnet, but I feel like, I don't know.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
I mean, but like TPW was a big deal, and then getting on a team obviously was as well. I think that feeling that I already mentioned of just how where I've come by the end of this year, where I don't feel like I'm this little newbie. That growth. And then when our friend from back home, Larry, came up and he was like, "You're on a Magnet house team." Like, that's a pretty big effing deal. You know, I was like, oh, that's nice of an old friend to say that. And another thing, and this is the last one I'll mention, and it is, I guess, Magnet related, but I had a couple of shows that week, but they were like class shows. And Clay mentioning was one of my best friends. We talk just about every day. He's a huge comedy fan, big comedy nerd, really. Honestly, is probably as big of a comedy nerd as I am, but he doesn't perform comedy. And he lives in South Carolina. And he said, it's like, dude, that's awesome. You're going to be performing comedy in New York. And I was like, yeah, it's just a class show, though. And he was like, it's more comedy than I'm ever going to perform in New York, and I love comedy. And I think taking a minute and being present with that and sitting with that and saying, you know what, that is something special. Like, I don't need to downplay it. Like, it's no big deal. So that stuff like that is a big gift, where it is like, I'm enjoying this time. I was talking to Andy Ryder recently, and we were just having a conversation of just like, doing what we're doing, like, that is something. Like, we don't have to be like famous or anything. We don't have to like be on SNL or whatever to feel like we've had some successes.
Yeah.
Because he moved to Los Angeles, and it just can get easy to see where you're not.
Well, also you gotta take care of your heart, and if you don't do these things, then you might age and feel bad about it later for not having done these things.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that too. Last topic: comedy hopes for the new year.
I'd like to write a show with you. I think that'd be fun. And I know we've talked about it for literally years, but I think we just have to do it. Like, what's holding us back? I do have ideas. I'd like to do more improv. I'd like to do more stand-up. But I need to set, I think, like, actual goals. Because I think, like, that book that we were reading about how you have to be specific with your goals, because how can the universe help you if you're not specific?
Oh, this is...
if you're like, I need money, you could, like, get, like, $5 because you weren't specific. So, like...
It's interesting that you say that. And the book you're talking about is I Am a Badass?
Yes.
Being specific is a thing. And also an episode that's coming up with Lisa Kleinman. I thought she was great. She actually said something along those lines of just like, you have to tell people what it is you want. Very practical. That's all I'll say about it, because you'll hear the episode later. It'd be great if we did something together. And did you have any others?
No. How about you?
The comedy books that I have, I want to finish them. I was reading Joe Toplin's book, and then I was just like in a very weird headspace about writing and just where I was going. And now that a lot of things are more firmly on ground, I feel like I can absorb that book better.
Yeah.
So I want to read that. That's something I want to do in the new year. Will Hines' book, which I haven't.
Love that book.
I think I read the introduction or something just to get a sense
How
of
to
it.
be the greatest improviser on earth.
Right. And
good.
it seems like it's going to be a great book, so I want to get to that. I was purposely not trying to start it. I was just like, let me just see what this is about. Sounds great. And I want to write more. And I feel like I'm ready to go. I feel like I don't have to be in my head anymore. And so now it's just time to like enjoy everything. And imagine where, like, can you imagine like a year from now where we could be? Like, look at all the stuff that's happened in the last year. So the next year can really have some awesome stuff in store for. I think it definitely will. I don't see how it could not, because we are surrounded by amazing people and talented people in New York City, where dreams are made. We're in Gowanus, where you can manufacture your dreams.
That's right.
And it's like actually a slogan for Gowanus in Brooklyn. And we have a lot in store for us over the next year. So I'm excited about it. And that's it for the podcast episode today.
Woo!
It's too bad Santa had to go so quickly. He was
He
here.
was here, and then he was out.
He dropped off gifts. Justina and I are now going to
Gifts like moving pictures?
no,
Oh, okay.
no, like actual, like what Santa brings.
Oh, okay. Gifts.
Yes,
Okay.
gift yes, and so we're gonna open gifts, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Thanks for hanging out. If you have some comedy goals, share them with us on our social media at There It Is Pod, which is on Facebook and Twitter.
Be specific.
And also, you can just hit us up on the website, thereitispod.com. It's in the song. It's in the awesome theme song. Well, folks, that's it for this year. It's crazy. I hope you have a great rest of your year and a great 2019. Until next time, be good to each other.
The music for the theme song was created by Neil Brooks. The rap was written and performed by Nick Acevedo. The logo for There It Is was created by Jeff Prater. The There It Is podcast is produced by Jason Farr.